So
she's got the way to do
yeah,
it.
feel free to maneuver here as you wish.
This is your fan club.
That's it. There's the fan club. Exactly. So, well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone. For those who had a chance to interact a little bit at dinner and other places last evening, that was enjoyable. So thank you for that time together. I have a couple of things I want to just sort of brush up from yesterday. I told Doug I'd be done today by 10:30 at the latest with the break built in. So that's sort of my time zone I'm factoring. By all means, if you need to get up and maneuver yourselves around or whatever, feel free to do so.
That's perfect.
Just a couple of brush up items. Then I'm going to start with something that really doesn't have a lot to do with leadership, but I found based on some follow-up conversations with many of you yesterday, I think you'll find it most intriguing. And we'll get there in a minute. Something I brought yesterday, this is back to the, this is more the engineering side, resources that you might want to pursue or consider. I know I'm on foreign territory here, but as I mentioned, with Convergence, we do have a great partnership with Purdue University. And one of our schools, an elementary school where we have kindergarten through 5th graders doing engineering projects all through the school, results in a culminating experience called an engineering extravaganza at Miller Elementary School. So what I wanted to share with you is through the Boston Museum of Science, there is a pretty good set of tools for younger kids. If you, and maybe perhaps part of your enterprise program, you have your people working, your older students working with younger children. Through the Boston Museum of Science, they have an interesting engineering process which this school decided to put on the shirt. Imagine, your voice I can't see what we're doing. Ask, imagine, plan, create, improve.
Let's go through that.
Ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve. And what we found was, even with 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, when they used this, again, back to patterning and programming, you began to hear them in the vocabulary, nowhere near the project, trying to problem solve something that had nothing to do with their project. They were saying, well, see, maybe we need to imagine right now, or I need to make a plan. And you started to hear it going into their vocabulary, which is really quite beautiful. And then sometimes they crisscross. You know, it's not always in an exact sequence. It's maybe we need to jump over to here now, or where are we? We're stuck. What do we need to do? Do we need to create? Is that the right step for us to do now? Or do we need to plan some more? What do we need to do? It becomes a good framework off of which to consider and think through, well, where are we? What is actually going on right now? You know, what do we need to do more of? Are we in an improvement stage right now? I don't know. So anyway, kind of a nice, I don't know if you want this passed around, I sort of doubt it, but if you want to see it, you're welcome to see it. Purdue's program for elementary engineering is called Inspire. So if you Google search Purdue Inspire, that will give you some background there. I'm on an advisory board for their Department of Engineering Education.
Is that an acronym?
Inspire, yes it is, and I have no clue.
Okay. Well, what was the Boston University that?
They have a curriculum piece that Purdue has adopted into the Inspire program. So Inspire is like saying it's enterprise. The curriculum driver for it is through Boston Museum of Science.
Boston Museum of
And
Science.
that curriculum is called Engineering is Elementary, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Christine Cunningham.
Yes. Good. It's actually very
Boston
nicely
Museum
put
of
together.
Science.
Very good.
Very nicely put together. So again, looking at the potential
And what was that curriculum called in Boston?
Engineering is Elementary, I believe that's it. The woman's name is Christine Cunningham.
do better. Okay, good stuff. Yes. So again, trying to bring possible resources, opportunities for you to consider. We found in our convergence projects, all of the innovative vehicle design things we share with you, we build in this ambassadorship component. And the educators have told me that's probably one of the most valuable components to the entire program, because you have high school kids now thinking of themselves as teachers, which is a great segue into themselves as leaders. How do you build in leadership into your programming? So a suggestion might be that you consider having your older students work with younger students as a required component of your enterprise, just because you see the growth of the people. And you see the reactions with the young people is a lot different than it is if it's you or me that's up there working with them. So it's really quite fascinating. Okay, so that's that project. Purdue also has quite a nice high school program too, but I've been vowed not to talk about that. Another tool. I just absolutely love this book. It's kind of a Bible-like book for me. Had a chance to meet this gentleman a few years back. The author's name is Franz Johansson. I'll pass the book around. The book is called The Medici Effect. I don't know if you've seen this or not. Again, it was an airport pickup for me at one point after I met the guy. But Franz Johansson takes a look at something that I find will tie very nicely into where we're headed this morning. The Medici family, of course, was during the Renaissance period, right? They basically bankrolled the Renaissance. They hired the artists and the musicians and so forth to bring culture and creativity and innovative thinking and so forth into the cultural norm. It became the time. So it's all about creativity and innovation. And again, tapping into the brain research from yesterday. I'm trying to build a bridge from yesterday into today. The brain research, the natural creativity, the natural innovative properties that we all have within us. He talks about, he says, if you can't read it and come up with at least one minor Mona Lisa or two, you're not trying. I love it. It's from Entrepreneur Magazine. He talks about an island out in the Azores, one of the specific islands, where apparently it's a crossing route, a path where people from all cultures, all worlds go to refuel, rest, stop, whatever, and keep going. And it's a place where you often find yourself sitting at a table with someone who is from a completely different culture, a completely different world, someplace you didn't even know existed. And conversations began, and you started to realize what he called intersection of two or more wild ideas that never before then had the opportunity to be in the same place. So he talks about capturing the moment of the intersection and going from there. Two or more wildly diverging ideas that are now all of a sudden together that go, wow, maybe. So our discussion this morning, what you were thinking about with your ROVs, is an intersection point. What if? Could we? So from developing your enterprise, getting kids in that zone where they're really in the, well, you know, I never thought about Snickers bars and coffee mate before, you know, and you start looking at things differently, because engineering is all about looking at things and analyzing it, right, and saying, this is kind of interesting. I wonder how they did that. That sense of natural questioning, how they do that or why they do that, and those sorts of things. So a phenomenal book. Talk about the intersection. Just for you personally, it's a good reference point for you. I highly encourage that.